Good afternoon, distinguished guests, esteemed researcher, and participant. Welcome to the International Conference on Advancement in Data Science, E-Learning, and Information System, or ICADES 2025. My name is Niputu Ayu Laksmi Purwati, and I am honored to be your moderator for this session. Today, we have an exciting lineup of presentations that will explore cutting-edge advancement in data science, e-learning, and information systems. These topics are not only academically enriching, but also have profound implications for real-world applications. Before we begin, allow me to outline the format for this session. Each presenter will have 10 minutes to deliver their presentation. Each presenter has a maximum of 10 minutes to present. At the 8 minutes, there will be a reminder that there are 2 minutes left. At the 10 minute, I will state that time is up, followed by a question and answer segment with a maximum of 15 minutes per presenter, but can be extended to 20 minutes if needed. I kindly ask all attendees to hold your question until the Q&A session after its presentation. If a presenter is not ready to present within 1 minute of the scheduled time, we will proceed with the next presenter. The presenter who was not ready will be rescheduled to present at the end of the session after all other presenters have finished. I'd also like to remind all presenters to change your display name into your paper ID, followed by your full name. And please make sure to use our official virtual background provided for this session. This helps maintain a consistent and professional appearance throughout the session. We will begin with our first presenter shortly. Before we proceed, I would like to remind everyone to keep your microphone muted during the presentations, unless permitted to speak. Without further ado, let's dive into our first presentation. I would like to invite our first presenter, Mr. Ahmad Sulaiman, who will present on a systematic literature review of transfer learning for eye tracking. Please welcome Mr. Ahmad Sulaiman. The screen is now yours.
Is my voice clear, Miss? Is my voice clear?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for having me. My name is Ahmad Sulaiman, and I'm presenting my findings alongside Mr. Sunu Ibirama and Mr. Shukron Abdul Ishaq Al-Farozi. So the title of our paper is a systematic data review of transfer learning for eye tracking. Okay, let's dive in. Today's presentation will cover the following sections. The first one is introduction, including research objective and research questions, and followed by background. And the second is Prisma methodology consists of Prisma framework and bibliometric analysis. And the third is results. In this lesson, we will be talking about eye tracking text, transfer learning approaches, and connection between them. And the last is finding and future directions. Okay. Actually, this is the outline of the primary goal of our research. Our review is to identify and analyze the eye tracking tests that have been addressed using transfer learning approaches. So initially, we formulated two research questions. The first one is what are eye tracking tasks solved by transfer learning approach in various domains? This questions aims to provide an overview of how transfer learning has been applied to overcome eye tracking challenges. And the second question is, which transfer learning methods have proven most commonly used for eye tracking adaptations? This related question aims to highlight methodological investments, offering insight into the best practices for future research. Okay, speaking about the backgrounds, in recent years, eye tracking plays a vital role in human-computer and vital in fields like human-computer interactions, automotive application, and medical assessments. However, building eye tracking model from scratch, as we know in this era, like deep learning, machine learning, can be time-consuming and resource-intensive, which is where TransferLink becomes valuable right now. On the right, we see a comparison between training from scratch and using transfer learning. Instead of starting from zero, transfer learning leverages pre-trained model from CNN, like a CNN model, trained on cats and dogs, uh, and then transferred into the new data like car and trucks. This is simple. That is simple definition about the transfer learning. Okay. Okay. Uh, our methodology consists of three main steps: planning, conducting, and reporting. For conducting, we developed our search strategy, including system, to gather relevant paper from the library database. We also applied the Prisma framework to ensure a systematic review, starting with identification and followed by screening and filtering. Initially, we identified 105 articles. After screening based on title and abstracts, 56 articles remain for further evaluations. These were checked against our eligibility criteria, which I will detail in the next slides. And then finally, 29 articles were included for qualitative synthesis. And the final steps involve summarizing and analyzing the findings, which I will detail and will cover it in the report. Okay, talking about the database, we actually use only Scopus database to gather relevant literature. The system focused on transfer learning and eye tracking or eye movement. We also applied filters like publication between 2017 and 2025, and limiting result to English conference paper and article papers. For our inclusion criteria, we selected paper that specifically reported the implementation of the planning for eye tracking domain. On the other hand, we excluded paper that did not cover this implementation, such as survey or review article. For example, the paper on the screen with the title Deep Conversational Network and Transfer Learning for measuring cognitive empowerment using transfer eye tracking in a distributed tablet-based environment. Q1 fits our inclusion criteria because it applies transfer learning directly to the eye tracking domain. And this is a pre-thematic network visualizing relationship in the selected literature. There are three clusters generated using first viewer. The right cluster focuses on neural network and transfer learning, while the green cluster covers the human factor and sleep designs, and the blue one is centered on the machine learning and feature extraction, which are foundational for processing eye tracking data. So it highlights the concurrence of terms like deep learning, transfer learning, and eye tracking. We are moving to the results. This profile analysis, this stat shows the distribution of selected studies based on the journal in which they were published. As we can see, the majority of the papers come from conference proceeding, counted 19, which indicate that this field is still developing, which many findings presented, discussed in conference. Other journal like IEEE, MTPI, machine sensors are also contribute to this review to the lesser extent. Okay, in the eye tracking domains, eye tracking tools are commonly categorized into screen-mounted device like iLink 1000 plus and head-mounted device as Ocular see-through technology. So the table shows the that how different eye tracking technologies are applied across various sectors based on their specific needs. Okay. To answer the research question one, what are eye tracking software different in various domains? And this starts present the key challenges and corresponding eye tracking tasks identified in our research. The most common challenge, data scarcity, is strongly linked to the task classification and case tracking. Other significant challenges include generalization and task-specific improvements, each associated with tasks like prediction and case estimation. Less frequent but important challenges include computational complexity and multi-user environment issues tied to various tasks or challenges for eye tracking. Uh, so this is the answer of the research question two. This slide summarizes the various time learning approaches identified in our review. The most common approach is pre-training and fine-tuning reference in eye studies. Hybrid approach that combine with hybrid approaches that combine methods such as pre-training and fine-tuning with architecture modifications are commonly used to. On the right, we see the corresponding methods with this channel family being the most frequently used, like VGG16, ResNet 50, Zulu version 5, and others. Other methods like the defaults, this strategy include to tackle eye tracking tasks using transfer learning. Okay. For this table connects eye tracking tasks with the transfer learning methods applied for tasks like classifications, variety model of CNN, such as CNN and faster R CNN, are commonly used. For YOLO version 5 is specifically for the detection tasks in case estimation. Model like Inception, ResNet version 2, MobileNet, MLP, VGX are popular, while case tracking often use CNN family. For prediction, domain interpretation methods like DCC and DNN, along with ResNet 50 are prevalent. And the last, finally, recognition last tasks are mainly handled by CNN models. Okay, this is the last my outline about talking about finding and feature directions. The finding ones, data scarcity and generation are significant issue for eye tracking tasks, which are classification, detection, guesstimation, case tracking, prediction, and recognition. And about finding two, pre-training and fine-tuning is commonly used approach for classification and case estimation, actually with the CNN method of family feature. For the future detection, in short, our research highlights the need for advanced pre-processing techniques and fine-tuning strategies to improve pre-trained models for different eye tracking tasks. Okay, that's all from me. Thanks for your attention. The time I'll back to the moderator. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Ahmad Sulaiman, for that insightful presentation. Now, I will open the floor for questions. Does anyone have any questions or comments for Mr. Ahmad Sulaiman? If you have a question, please use the raise hand feature in Zoom and kindly state your name and affiliation before asking your question. Okay, maybe I will ask Mr. Sulaiman first. Can I ask a question, Mr. Ahmad Sulaiman?
Yes, yes. Thanks.
Okay. What are the main challenges in applying after transfer learning to the eye tracking system, and how can they be overcome?
Okay. To implement transfer learning from the eye tracking task, we know that eye tracking in this paper based on the image. Actually, the eye tracking data like time series, as you know, saccades and fixation and smooth pursuit is classification of time series. We don't use the CNN actually, which is LSTM something like that. But in the presentation about the figure or capture is might be the next leading to a more uh, uh, source like website future studies to the implement for CNN. That's all the answer.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Ahmad Sulaiman. Does any other have a question for Mr. Ahmad Sulaiman? I
I,
will.
I want to
Okay,
ask.
sure.
Okay, my name is Norma Puji Istianto. I am from Institut Teknologi 10 November. I want to ask to Mr. Ahmad Sulaiman, what's your novelty in this SLR? And plan your theoretical contribution, please. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Norma Puji, Mr. Norma Puji Isianto. The novelty, thank you about the novelty of the results is classification of the methods using for tracking tasks. And actually, and the next research is talking about the classification. Actually, focus on classification eye tracking. Uh, like the before I said that classification eye tracking is not more the up, down, left, side, but the screens on the screen we can show it's now the classification text like sockets, smooth pursuit, and sorry, fixation. For the novelty, we know that CNN is the contributed to this review is using many research before, and I think this CNN the could set to the implementation the next future research. That's all the answer. I hope
Okay,
the answer.
thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Nur and Mr. Ahmad Sulaiman. Any other have a question for Mr. Ahmad Sulaiman? We will accept one more question. If there is no one who want to ask Mr. Ahmad Sulaiman, I will continue the session. Enough?
Ya, oke. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay. Thank you for all the engaging discussion. Mr. Ahmad Sulaiman, your response have provided further clarity on transferring learning for eye tracking. Let's give Mr. Ahmad Sulaiman another round of applause for this excellent presentation. Next, we have Mr. Norma Puji Istianto, who will present on digital transformation of micro business in retail sectors, a systematic literature review. Please welcome Mr. Norma Puji Istianto. The screen is now yours.
Okay, thank you, Miss Putu. Okay, are you seeing my presentation?
Yes.
Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone. My name is Norma Pujistianto. I am doctoral student in Information System Department at Institut Teknologi 10 November Surabaya. My co-author is the Prof. Mahendrawati ER. Today, I want to present my paper in ICA Days 2025 in the title of Digital Transformation of Micro Business in Retail Sector, a Systematic Literature Review. In the presentation, at four section, the section 1 is introduction, section 2 is research method, section 3 is result and discussion, and the last section is the conclusion. Okay, the section 1 in introduction, the digital transformation has become a global trend. DT in education, health industry, banking, enterprise, government, and other sector. Initially, DT was identical to mobile apps, IoT, big data, machine learning, robotic, AI, VR or AR, metaverse, and other advanced technologies. Several previous studies and best practice have become guideline and reference for DT. Then, SLR study on data of micro business in retail sector has been published. Data in retail micro business is still relatively less explored compared to other industries. The retail sector is one of the buffer for national economic growth that can survive during the COVID-19 pandemic. However, not all existing retail business can survive when business model change depend on digital technology due to change in customer behavior and habit in shopping and increasingly competitive business. So this SLR aim to explore the data in micro retail. Specifically, it seeks to identify different in the perspective and context of data in micro retail between the global north and the global south. The result of this SLR can be used by academic and practitioner as an initial guideline to conduct research and future implement data in micro retail sector. Okay, I have two research question in this study. The RQ1, what are the research trends related to digital transformation in retail micro business? And the RQ2, what are the different perspective and context of digital transformation on micro business in the retail sector between the global north and the global south? Next, the second section, the research method. I have data collection for 5 index database, ScienceDirect, Emerald, IEEE, Springer, and TransOnline by search string protocol, digital transformation, and microbusiness or retail. So the review protocol, I use Prisma. In the study, follow the Prisma method, which is divided into 3 stages: identification, screening, and inclusion. The third section, I have result and discussion for this my SLR study. This is 16 manuscript in this SLR study. There are 10 manuscript from the global north and 6 manuscript from the global south. Furthermore, there are 2 people perspective, 5 technology perspective, and 9 organizational perspective. The result of the study answer RQ1 by providing an overview for academic and practitioner about data, research trend, and focus on the micro retail sector based on previous study into 3 categories, namely the number of publication per year, the author's country, and the top publisher for this topic. You can see the figure 2 and figure 3, the research trend by year's publication is general digital transformation data more than data on micro business of retail sector. And figure 3, the global north have more than the global south of paper. The global north 10 paper and the global south 6 paper. Then there are 13 top publisher of the 16 main manuscript of this SLR study as shown in the table 2. Okay, the RQ2, the global north versus the global south, the different perspective and context data on micro business of retail sector between the global north and the global south. You can see figure 6 and table 4. In the global north context and perspective, the pupil focus to end customer, and then the global south, the focus to the retailer. So the technology at global north is advanced technology for business model innovation. Then the global south apply technology for business process optimization. The last different, the organization context and perspective, the global north new organizational identity, and the global south reinforce organizational identity. The last section is the conclusion of this my study. The trend of research related to micro retail data in both the global north and the global south has increased from 2018 to 2024, but the number of publication is still very limited and far behind DT in general, which reached more than the 3,000 paper and continue to grow. Interestingly, for now, more countries of order come from the global north, such as USA, UK, Germany, Italy, France, Spain, Australia, Greece, Switzerland, and Latvia. Then countries from the global south, such as Brazil, India, Iran, Vietnam, and China. In addition, this micro retail detail research trend include multidisciplinary topic at least 3 discipline. The 3 top publisher on this topic. This is a Journal of Open Innovation Technology, Market and Complexity. The second, Technological Forecasting and Social Change. The last is International Journal of Production Economic. Then the global north as versus global south, they are different in data perspective and context in micro retail between global north and global south based on the result of alignment between the IS perspective and DT perspective with the approach of people, technology, and organization context that in the global north focusing on end customer tend to use to advanced technology for business model innovation. Meanwhile, the global south still focus on retailer, the utilize apply technology to optimize business process that aim to reinforcing organizational identity. So the last in the future research is research of the SLR study, validation of the model or in-depth exploration of one of the context, be it people, technology, and organization or which between the there. This is my reference in the SLR study for the paper and the 16 main manuscript. Okay, thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Nurmal Puji Istianto, for that comprehensive presentation. Let's now we are move on to the Q&A session. Does anyone have any question or comments for Mr. Nurmal Puji Istianto? If you have a question, please use the raise hand feature in Zoom and kindly state your name and affiliation before asking your question. Okay, maybe I will ask first. Can I ask a question, Mr. Nurmal Puji Istianto?
Okay.
Okay, I'm curious about what are the key benefits of digital transformation for micro business in the retail sector?
Okay, thank you. I choose the retail sector because there is no SLR study in the topic of digital transformation. The SLR in general DT, general digital transformation is very paper the published in this database. The other hand, the retail sector is a buffer national economic in pandemic. I want to support the retail micro business for the alignment SDGs for digital transformation to inclusivity. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Nurmal. And based on the research you have done, what challenges do micro business face when adopting digital transformation in retail sectors?
Please repeat again. What's your mean?
What challenges
Oh.
do micro business face when adopting digital transformation in retail sector?
Yes, this is the main question for me in my
Okay.
research. The lecturer on this class, on my class, is very skeptic about this because the micro business, like warung, like toko kelontong or local growth is digital divide is very high because the micro business is less capacity, less knowledge, less skill. This is my big challenges, but I'm spirit to to the execute my uh, research dissertation.
Okay, thank you so much for the answer, Mr. Norma Puji Istianto. Does any other people have a question for Mr. Norma Puji Istianto? Because I think this topic is very interesting, right? No? If there is no more question, we will move on into the next speaker. Thank you so much for the thoughtful response for my question, Mr. Norma Puji Istianto.
Yes, thank you.
Let's give Mr. Norma Puji Istianto a round of applause once again. Okay, so our next presenter is Mr. Gempar Bambang Godata, who will share the research titled A Comparative Study of Traditional and Deep Learning Models Using Emotional Customer Data in Automotive Sales Forecasting. Please welcome Mr. Gempar Bambang Godata. The screen is now yours.
All right, nice to see you everyone, and thank you for having me in Nika Days 2025. My name is Barba Magudata, and today I will present our research titled a comparative study of traditional and deep learning models using emotional customer data in automotive sales forecasting. And we go to introduction. Effective communication plays a crucial role in building strong customer relationships, particularly in the automotive industry. Positive emotional connections significantly enhance the likelihood of successful transactions. XYZ Automobile has previously utilized an internal tool to detect customer emotions during interaction with their salespeople. Therefore, our research leverage audio data and deep learning models to analyze this interaction and predict sales outcomes. We go to related studies. Due to the difficulties in finding studies directly focusing on business prediction using audio parameters, we refer to research that employed DNN or the dense neural network and tablet algorithms for classifying high-dimensional structured data. These papers, there are three, demonstrate the potential of both algorithms as viable methods for our research. And our contribution, this research provides a data-driven solution to help XYZ Automobile improve its sales strategy by gaining a deeper understanding of customer emotions during phone calls and their impact on sales outcomes. And our research method, I would like to inform you that due to XYZ Automobile Company doesn't allow me to write the real name and the internal tools, so anyone who is interested in this SDK can contact me outside the conference. So the raw data consists of the audio recordings of conversation between XYZ Automobile salespeople and customers. These audio files are processed by filtering out background noise and isolating human speech by discarding frequencies below a set threshold in the spectrogram as shown in the figure right here. Every time a person speaks, there will be pauses for breathing or being interrupted by someone else. So each of these talk units become the role of these data sets. These heat map diagrams right here is an example of visualization of the MFCC variable of a torque unit. So this is our research workflow. We begin by understanding the business and the provided data. Next, we prepare the data by converting audio recordings into quantitative data, which include the audio parameters and categorical variables, resulting 205 variables as shown on the right image here. We have numericals like MFCC and audio parameters. Also, we have categoricals from XYZ automobile. And then we perform feature engineering to extract additional variables and adjust their naming. Several steps here. There are 5, like normalizer call duration, and then column renaming and translation from Japanese character kanji. And in data processing process, we have 5 process here. As it says here, we are also applied like handling outlier values with threshold 3.5, min max normalization for min 1 to 1, and then encoding categorical variables, feature selections. We remove some features here because there are autocorrelation. Also data splitting. We split to 10% and 90% for training and testing. And then our algorithms, the algorithm used were DNN, dense neural network with this model architecture, and the pretended net classifier model we using from TensorFlow. Both models were optimized using the Adamway optimizer. For DNN, I'm customized this architecture with 5 dense layers and 1024 neurons per layer. Also, there are any others. For TabNet classifier, we are using pretend model. And our results are revealed that the optimized DNN model outperformed other approaches, achieving 60.61% accuracy and F1 score of 0.72, indicating strong balance between precision and recall. TabNet also performed well, achieving 70.18% accuracy and an F1 score of 0.72, while offering interpretability. Traditional models, right here, also delivered reasonable performance, especially Adabus here with 61.94%. And then a key finding was that DNN required extensive tuning to avoid overfitting, as seen in the gap between training and validation in the initial model, the first image here. After the optimization, the DNN achieved a stable loss of approximately 0.6. Meanwhile, TabNet reached its best validation loss of 0.58, demonstrating strong generation on test data. In conclusion, our study demonstrates the effectiveness of deep learning models like DNN and TabNet in predicting automotive sales outcome based on customer audio features. While traditional model of for simplicity, they cannot match the complexity handling capabilities of deep learning. By integrating emotional analysis from internal tools with predictive model, XYZ Automobile can enhance its sales strategies and customer interaction. Thank you for your attention.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Gempar Bambang Godata for the insightful presentation. We will now open the floor for questions. If you have question, please use the raise hand feature in Zoom and kindly state your name and affiliation before asking your question. Does anyone have any question or comments for Mr. Gempar Bambang Godata?
I want to ask this.
Here you can ask your question to Mr. Gempar, Mr. Nur.
Okay, thank you. I want to ask Mr. Gempar, the appreciate for uh, your task. My question is, what your research limitation for this your study, and what the different or another method deep learning in the previous study, and then what's your implement what your contributing practical contribution for your this study. Thank you.
Mr. Nur, I will answer for the first question first.
What your research limitation in this
Okay,
step?
my limitation is we are only using Japanese conversation with Japanese language of QC. So our model could not processing like Indonesian or English conversation. We need to retrain our models. And the second question is?
What your practical contribution in the result of your research?
All right, we back to our related studies. Our difference is we are using the huge amount of data based on our research. This tabular data that used by them is only with range 20 until 50 variables. So we use more about variables that could enhance our classification. Also, they're very different. They are not talking about prediction cells, but we're just using them as our reference. For the third question,
What
our contribution.
your contribution?
So contribution is actually is for XYZ automobile itself first. They are our client in my IT consultant company. So we could apply it in more research in Indonesia, and I think I will offer it to some of other researcher to develop it more and make it uh, uh, a deployment for free like that. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Success for your research project.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay, we will accept two more questions or comments for Mr. Gempar. If you have question, you can raise your hand and ask Mr. Gempar.
I want to ask question.
Okay, here you can ask Mr. Gempar.
Okay, my name is Dava, Committee of KDS 2025. I want to ask about what is advantage does the combination of deep learning and machine learning models offers in this study?
Right. What is the advantage of combine? Actually, we are not combining, we are comparing. So yeah, we use the same data split and preparation for different models. Yeah, but we are not combining DNN and TARPnet like that, and any other machine learning.
Okay. We will accept one more question. If you still have question, you can raise your hand and ask Mr. Gempar. Does anyone still have question for Mr. Gempar? Okay, seems like nobody is going to ask Mr. Gempar. So thank you so much for the answer, Mr. Gempar Bambang Godata. Let's give Mr. Gempar once again a round of applause.
Thank you so much. God bless you all.
Moving forward, I would like to invite Mr. Benny Wijaya to present their research on image processing system for providing sound information as an assistive tool for the visually impaired. Please welcome Mr. Benny Wijaya. The screen is now yours.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Putu. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Benny Wijaya, and I'm glad to present our work on image processing system for providing sound information as an assistive tools for the visually impaired. This research was conducted by my college, Tilvi Sari, me, Helvi Susilawati, Siva Nurpadilah, and Ginaldi Ari from the Faculty of Engineering at Universitas Garut. So the aim of this presentation is to share the motivation behind this project, the method we use, the result we achieve, as well the potential impact of our findings on improving mobility for visually impaired individuals. Let me begin by discussing the background of our study. Visual impairment significantly limits a person's ability to interact with their surroundings. This limitation often leads to challenge in mobility and navigating through unfamiliar environment. Traditionally, visually impaired individuals rely on tools like cans to detect obstacles. While these tools are effective for identifying nearby objects, but they do not provide detailed information about the natures of those objects. Also, in recent years, technological advancement have introduced assistive devices such as smart glasses, smart belts, and smart gloves. However, many of these devices also have their limitation. They either lack specificity in identifying objects or are not practical for widespread use. Uh, Recognizing these gaps, we aim to design an innovative solution, a smart can that not only detects obstacles but also identifies and classifies them, providing users with real-time audio feedback. The primary objective of our study is to develop smart cans equipped with advanced image processing capabilities. This device uses a combination of ultrasonic sensors, a camera, and a Raspberry Pi to detect and classify objects such as people and vehicles. When the objects identified, the system translates this information into sound-based cues. The ultimate goal is to improve the mobility and safety for visually impaired individuals by providing them with detailed real-time information about their surroundings. Now let me explain the method we use to achieve this goal. Our research is adopt a prototype solution methodology, which involves building and testing a functional model to evaluate the feasibility of the technology. The system also consists of three main components. The input in the input comes from the ultrasonic sensors that detect objects within a range of 50 centimeter to 200 centimeters. If an object is detected, the camera captures an image for processing. On the process, the image analyzed using two algorithms, single shoot detector SSD for human detection and hard cascade classifier for detecting vehicle and the lower part of human body. And then the output after the processing the data, the system provides audio feedback to the users via wireless headset. Also, the workflow of our system is straightforward. The system is the sensor detect an object and the camera captures and process the image. The smart cans detect object within 1.5 to 2 meters using ultrasonic sensor and camera. Next, I will present an overview of the results from our testing. Here is a more detailed view of the sensor test results. As you can see from the table, the ultrasonic sensor provide highly accurate readings across different distances with minimal error margins with an average error rate of only 0.281%. Also, the system successfully detects both objects like human and vehicles. For the overall system testing involved assembling all the components, include the ultrasonic sensors, the camera, the Raspberry Pi, and the wireless headset into a functional prototype. The object detection time demonstrate an average system response times of 1.38 seconds for human and 4.244 seconds for vehicles. The testing demonstrates that the system successfully detects both human and vehicle within a specified range of 50 to 200 centimeters using hard cascade classifiers and SSD algorithm. The system accurately classified of the object and provide appropriate audio feedback. For human system, delivered the message human detected, while for vehicle, it announced car detected. This confirms capability of the smart cans to reliability identify and differentiate between two type objects, ensuring better mobility and safety for visual impaired users. Now, let's discuss some key points about our findings. The system performed well in detecting objects within a range of 50 to 200 centimeters. It was able to accurately distinguish between human and vehicles, providing real-time feedback to the users. Interestingly, the system detects human faster than vehicles. This because the bounding box of for human detection covered more of the object, making it easier for the algorithm to classify. Looking ahead, there is room for improvement. Future iteration of the system could expand detection capabilities, include other types of obstacle, such as stair, potholes, or even moving objects. In conclusion, we successfully developed a prototype of smart can that assist visual impaired individuals by providing real-time audio feedback. The system demonstrates high accuracy in detecting objects and providing users with meaningful information about their surroundings. Although this prototype is still in early stages, it was a great potential to significantly improve in mobility and safety of visually impaired individuals. Moving forward, we plan to enhance the system capabilities and explore additional use cases to make it even more effective and versatile. Okay, maybe that's it. Thank you for the.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Beni Wijaya, for that enlightening presentation. Let's now open the floor for questions. If you have a question, please use the raise hand feature in Zoom and kindly state your name and affiliation before asking your question. Does anyone have any question or comment for Mr. Benny Wijaya?
Excuse me, Miss. I want to ask.
Here, you can ask Mr. Benny, Mrs. Nasya Amirah.
Okay, let me introduce myself. My name is Nasya Amirah Maliani. I'm from Department of Information System, Sultan Syarif Qasim State Islamic University of Riau. So I wanna ask Mr. Benny Wijaya. I have two questions. The first is, what challenge might arise when implementing a smart cans like this in the work environment? And then how could this challenge be addressed? And the second one, how could this smart stick be enhanced in the future to increase this usability for blind individuals? Okay, thank you, Miss.
Thank you, Mrs. Nasya. For Mr. Benny, we can answer your question.
I'm sorry. Thank you for Mrs. Nasya for the question. That is such as interesting question, I guess. The challenge that might be concerned is the accuracy. The first question is about the challenge, right? And how can I address with that challenge? Okay, the answer is one of the primary concern is the accuracy of the object detection. In the first condition, for example, the system might face difficulties in low light situation, such as night or poorly lit indoor space, something like that. And then the image processing algorithm like SSD and classifier Cascade rely heavily on visual cues, which may not perform optimally under the circumstances. Moreover, in busy environment like crowded streets or malls, the system could struggle to distinguish between different types of object, potentially leading to confusion in its feedback. Additionally, the ultrasonic sensor, while useful, may have a limitation in crowd environments where the multiple objects are close together in areas with a lot of noise, such as construction sites or public transportation hubs. To address those challenges, several approaches could be taken. First, in changing the image recognition algorithm through machine learning could significantly improve the system ability to handle complex and dynamic environment by training the system to recognize a border range of object and adopt to change in lightning. It could become more robust in variable condition. Another solution could be integrating more advanced sensors such as LiDAR or infrared sensor, which can operate well in low light condition and provide more precise distance measurements, helping to identify objects at greater distance. Additionally, refining the range and the accuracy, the ultrasonic sensor could mitigate the issue of proximate detection, ensuring more accurate feedback in crowded spaces. Finally, introducing a nice cancellation technology or using combination the types of kind of things. For the second question is about how this smart can in the future, right, about increasing usability for individuals. So the first is the future development of these smart cans could include several enhancements to increase its usability and adaptability for blind individuals. One potential features is integrating of GPS navigation. This would allow the cam to guide users through specified routes, helping them avoid certain obstacles or dangerous areas, such as construction zones, busy area, or stairs. The GPS could provide step-by-step direction, enabling more independent navigation in both familiar and unfamiliar environment. Second, another major improvement could be inclusion of expand more sensor array, which might involve more advanced technologies like LiDAR, infrared, like I said before, or even radar. This sensor would allow the smart stick to detect object at longer distance, improve performance in challenge lightning condition, and reduce risk of missing obstacle. LiDAR, for example, could be provide highly accurate 3D mapping of the surroundings, allowing for even better environmental awareness and obstacle direction. Third, additionally, in changing the audio feedback system could make a stick more user-friendly. Features such as voice commands, customable audio alerts, or even more sophisticated system that could speak in more natural language would provide more potentially interaction. For example, user could see their preferences of the types any alerts they receive or how much information they want about their surroundings. That's it, maybe for the answer. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for Mr. Benny for the answering.
Okay. We will now accept 2 more questions. If you have any question, please raise your hand. No more question? If there is no more question, we will move on into our last speaker. Okay, so thank you so much, Mr. Benny Wijaya, for the interesting discussion. Let's give Mr. Benny Wijaya a round of applause. Finally, we have Mrs. Nasya Amirah Meliani, who will present on application of bidirectional gated recurrent unit and state gated recurrent unit algorithm for stock price prediction. Please welcome Mrs. Nasya Amirah Meliani. The screen is now yours.
Thank you for Ms. Putu for allowing me to present our research. Okay, I will share screen. Wait, Miss. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Let me introduce myself. My name is Nasya Amirah Meliani. I'm from the Department of Information System, Sultan Syarif State Islamic University of Riau. Okay, here our research. Our research in deep learning entitled Application of Bidirectional Gated Recurrent Unit and Stack Gate Recurrent Algorithm for Stock Price Prediction, who present by me, Nasya Amirah Meliani. And then here is the content list. The first is introduction. The second is methodology. The third is results and discussion. And the last one is conclusion. Okay, here is the introduction. The introduction. Investment is the process of investing capital with the aim of gaining profits in the future, based on Almanzar et al. 2023. Stocks are financial instruments that provide their holders with ownership rights and profits in a public company, which attract investors because of the potential for high returns despite the risk, based on Ugolini et al. 2023. And then, one of the stock sectors that is often in demand is banking, which has high liquidity and good performance on the Indonesia Stock Exchange, or IDX, based on Sabrina et al. 2023. Bank Rakyat Indonesia, or BRI, is one of the oldest and the biggest banks in Indonesia and also included in the LQ45 index. BBRI share attracts investors because of their stability and growth potential based on Hidayana and Nepitipulu 2022. Next, many prospective investors don't yet understand the analysis and techniques for getting decisions about trading stocks. So, prospective investors are hesitant to invest based on Putra and Punyawati 2021. Therefore, a method is needed to analyze and predict stock price. In this research, we'll apply the using of bidirectional get recurrent unit or BGRU and stacked get recurrent unit or stacked GRU for stock price prediction. So, here is the methodology. The first, data collection through Yahoo Finance website. Then, using data for the last 7 years from 2018 until 2024 and using 2 years data from 2023 until 2024. The third, data splitting with the holdout validation technique 8T and 20. Then, using NADAM, ADAM-W, ADAM-MAX, and SGDM optimizers. The last one, model evaluation using MSE, RMSE, MAE, and MAPE metrics. So here is results and discussion. The data used is BRI stock data for last 7 years from 2018 until 2024 and 2 years data from 2023 until 2024 obtained through the Yahoo Data Finance. And then pre-processing is applied by filling in the empty rows in the data with the average value. Then data normalization is carried out with the min-max normalization technique. A time step stack to create a sequence to predict to target value with time steps set at 10, 20, and 30. The data was split using a holdout validation technique with a ratio 80% as training and 20% as testing. So here is the best experiment using 7 years data. Based on experiments, I use 2 data. The first data is 7 years data, and the second one is 7 years data. Based on the experiments, I found the best experiment using 7 years data, and the best algorithm is BGRU. And here in the black box, here is the best value of experiments that are use optimizer NADAM, then batch size 8, learning rate 0.001, and then MSE 7283.1848, and then the value of RMSE 85.3416, MAE 650879, and the value of MAPE 1.2421. Okay, here is the future of Bank Rakyat Indonesia stock price prediction on test data. So, based on the experiment and this research, I found that the BGRU with NADAM optimization has optimally and outperformed than stack GRU with 10 time steps, 8 bit size, and learning rate 0.001 is the best model experiments conducted. And then here is the stock price prediction of 2023 until November 2024. So BGRU as the best model then be implemented to predict future stock price in the November 2024. The results show the stock price of Bank Rakyat Indonesia is predicted to decrease. Okay, next, this research has successfully compared BGRU and StackGRU algorithms for predicting BRI stock price movements, addressing challenges posed by market volatility. By leveraging their ability to handle sequence data and temporal patterns, the study aims to improve prediction accuracy in the banking sector, which is known for its liquidity and stability. The results of this study indicated that BGRU outperforms StackGRU in terms of prediction accuracy. Then here is the conclusion of our research. This research addressed a gap in stock price prediction literature by comparing the performance of BGRU and StackGRU algorithms in predicting Bank Rakyat Indonesia or BRI stock price movement, specifically in the Indonesia banking sector. While BGRU and StackGRU have been applied in various domains, this study uniquely focused on their comparative effectiveness in financial forecasting. The results demonstrate that BGRU optimized with NADAM, batch size 8 times step 10, and learning rate 0.001 outperforms than StackGRU algorithm in MSE, RMSE, MAE, and MAPE evaluation, confirming its superiority in the capturing complex temporal patterns. Additionally, the study highlights the critical role of the data range, showing that longer datasets, 7 years, result in more accurate prediction than shorter ones that use 2 years data. Prediction for November 2024 indicated a significant stock price decline observed towards the year's end. By offering data-driven recommendation for efficient model selection and emphasizing parameter optimization, this research provided valuable insights for investor and market analysts, contributing to the development of more reliable stock price prediction system and supporting informed investment decision in volatile market. Okay, maybe that's all. I wanna thank you for Ms. Putu, and I give back to Ms. Putu again.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mrs. Nasya Amirah Meliani, for that impactful presentation. Let's now open the floor for questions. If you have a question, please use the raise hand feature in Zoom and kindly state your name and affiliation before asking your question. Does anyone have any questions or comments for Mrs. Nasya Amirah Meliani?
Yes,
I
me.
want to ask
I
question
do.
for
Okay, so I think there are some people who's going to ask Mrs. Nasya, but first I will go to Mr. or Mrs. Osa.
yes.
Okay,
Okay.
you can ask the question for Mrs. Nasya.
Okay. I'm Osa Nasir Mulani from Telkom University. I want to ask you about first, what is the novelty or research gap addressed in this study? And second question, how the findings of this research contribute to filling that gap? Okay. Yes, enough.
So Mrs. Nasya, you can answer the question from Osa. Mrs. Osa.
The first question is, what is the research gap, right? Okay, the lack of studies comparing the StackGRU and BGRU in stock price prediction. Most studies only use one model or one algorithm without direct comparison between both of them. The second, lack of model optimization exploration. Many previous studies use standard optimization methods such as ADAM or RMS prop, whereas the study tests some more complex, use NADAM and ADAMEX. And then the third, influence of historical data length on the prediction accuracy historical data. Here we use 7 years, results in more accurate prediction than 2 years data, which has not been widely discussed in other studies. And then the fourth, limit application of deep learning model for banking sectors in Indonesia. Many studies focus on global stocks, while this study is more specific to banking stocks in Indonesia, especially BRI, which has a large market capitalization. Okay, I wanna answer the second question. The second question is, how does research contribute to filling the gap? Okay, by comparing BGRU and StackGRU, this research provides new insights on which algorithm is more effective in stock price prediction. And then by testing various optimization such as ADAMAX, NADAM, ADAM-W, and SGDM, this research helped identification the best combination of model and also the optimization to improve prediction accuracy. And then the third, by comparing 7 years and 2 years data, this research proved the importance of longer historical data in model accuracy. And the last, by focusing on BBRI and the Indonesia stock market, this research provides a more relevant reference for investor in Indonesia, especially for BBRI investor. Okay, thank you.
Is that clear, Mrs. Osa?
Yes, clear, yes.
Okay. We will accept 2 more questions. If you still have any question, you can raise your hand and open your mic. Turn on your microphone.
Excuse me, I want to ask something.
Okay, sure. To Mr. Aska, you can ask the question. To Mrs. Nasya, and for Mr. Benny, you can ask your question after Mr. Aska.
Okay, thank you. My name is Aska Haris, and I am from Universitas Gadjah Mada. I would like to ask about the primary reasons for selecting Big RU and Stack GRU over other methods for stock price prediction. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for for Mr. Aska Haris for the question. Okay, I will answer the question from Mr. Aska Haris. Okay, the first, why I use the bidirectional get recurrent unit and stack get recurrent unit, because of the previous research has been done by Akash Rahmadian and Sir Mustaqim, that they research using LSTM and GRU algorithms. So the best algorithms from them is GRU. So I want to use the derivative algorithms from GRU. So I want to look and found what the best algorithm from derivative GRU. And then the other reasons, superior handling of sequential data and time series data. Next, advantage of BGRU over standard GRU and LSTM. BGRU or bidirectional GRU process input in both forward and backward direction, allowing the model data to learn both past and future dependencies within the stock market data. Unlike long short-term memory or LSTM algorithms, BGRU has a simplified architecture with a fewer parameters, making it computationally efficient while maintaining strong predictive capabilities. And then stack GRU for deeper future extraction. So I use stack GRU because of stack GRU consists of multiple GRU layers, allowing it to capture complex hierarchical patterns in stock price movement. And then this deep architecture help in extracting long-term dependencies, which is useful for volatile financial markets. And then the other reasons, computationally efficiency compared to LSTM. GRU-based models require fewer parameters than LSTM because they use a simple gating mechanism, update and reset gate, instead of 3 gates in LSTM. And then this makes BGRU and stack GRU faster to train while still achieving high accuracy. And then the other reason, strong performance in previous research. Studies have shown that GRU-based model outperform the traditional models such as RNN or recurrent neural network and even LSTM, involving time series forecasting, including stock market prediction, electricity demand forecasting, and weather prediction. And then this research also optimized BGRU and stack GRU with different optimizers such as NADAM, ADAM Max, ADAM W, and SGDM to improve prediction accuracy. So the main reason BGRU and StackGRU were chosen, even other methods, due to their ability and efficiently capture stock price trends, handle sequence dependencies, and perform better in computational efficient and prediction accuracy. Among them, BGRU with NADAM optimization emerged as the best model and the best algorithm for stock price prediction in my research. Okay, maybe that's all, Mr. Aska Haris.
Okay, thank you for your detailed response.
Okay, you're welcome.
Okay, now, Mr. Benny, you can ask your question to Mrs. Nasha.
Is it okay? Because the times is up, I think.
It's okay.
Okay, I think this is the last question. Okay. My name is Benny Wijaya from the Faculty of Engineering at Universitas Garut. I would ask a question about future development of your research. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the question. So the research future hope. Wait. Okay, okay, I will answer what is the future research hoping. The first future expectation are the other research can increase the accuracy of the model by trying other optimization and other algorithms technique, such as combining deep learning with hybrid algorithms or reinforcement learning. And the second, using a wider data set, including external factors such as economic news, government politics, and market sentiment to improve prediction. And then the third, apply to model the other stock price sectors, not only in BBRI, and can use in other banking in Indonesia, such as BCA and BNI and the others. And then hopefully in the future research can develop an artificial intelligence-based application that can be used by investor in conducting in real-time stock analysis. Okay, maybe that's all, Mr. Benny Wijaya.
Okay, thank you for the detailed answer, Mrs. Nasha.
Okay, you're welcome.
Okay, once again, thank you for the engaging discussion versus Nasha Amirah Meliani. Let's give Mrs. Nasha Amirah Meliani a round of applause. All right, so that was the last presenter in this session. Before we ended this session, I would like to ask all the participants to open your camera for the documentation session. Or all the participants, please open your camera.
Like 1, 1, 2, 3, smile. Slide 2, 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay, let's slide 1, 2, 3, smile.
Okay, so thank you to all the presenters and participants for your exceptional contribution and insights. On behalf of ICADEIS 2025, I would also like to extend my gratitude to all participants for your engagement and truth-proving questions. We hope this session has been both informative and inspiring. Thank you once again and have a wonderful day.